We have an active week of weather in store with two major winter storms set to impact the eastern half of the United States, severe weather for the south, and drenching rains for the California coast. All this and more next at the Weather Farm. Welcome to the Weather Farm. We are going to dive right into our forecast because we have an active week of weather with two major winter storms that we are watching between now and Friday. So let's take a look at our Monday morning where we see an area of low pressure off the coast of North Carolina that is spreading light showers and snow showers across the mid-Atlantic region. Across parts of Texas, we also see light showers as well as light snowfall across parts of Montana. We do see an area of low pressure that is centered just in southwestern New Mexico. That is going to become the driving mechanism for our next system as it impacts the United States on our Monday and Tuesday. If we jump ahead to our Tuesday morning, we see that that system has moved into the lower Tennessee and Dixie Alley valleys with rain through Arkansas and Tennessee, snow through southern Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky, spreading east into Ohio and West Virginia. With this particular system, the thing that we want to watch is this 540 height contour. This is generally the line that we look at to determine whether precipitation is going to fall in the form of rain or if it's going to fall in the form of snow. And so that line is going to be very critical, and we're going to see it in two different models. That one model keeps the line a little bit further south and provides a more widespread snow event across Kentucky into West Virginia, while the other model tends to have that line a little bit further north and gives us a little bit more rain across the bluegrass state. So this is something that we want you to focus on as we see these model runs go. Not only focus on the precipitation, but where does that 540 line set up and its corresponding next contour, the first red line, the 546 line, because that is definitely where we see the division between rain and snow. So let's put those maps into motion with our model. Starting with Monday afternoon, we start to see that by the evening we're getting precipitation moving through Arkansas into Tennessee and Kentucky. Snow is widespread overnight Tuesday into Tuesday afternoon. That all moves east overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning as we have then yet our second storm waiting in the wings. In terms of potential snowfall, we did see that 540 line stay pretty much across central Kentucky. So that's why the GFS model wants to have a wide swath of about 4 to 6 inches across southern Missouri into eastern Kentucky, and then heavier snows out towards the east coast. Lesser amounts as we move north to the Ohio River, around 1 to 2 inches for places like Evansville, Louisville, and up towards Cincinnati. We move our map a little bit further east and we get to see the whole mid-Atlantic region. We see that that swath of heavy snow extends from about Roanoke all the way up towards Richmond. This particular model wants to have about 15 inches of snow. It could happen, but I would say that generally we're going to see a widespread 8 to 12 inch snow amount in this highlighted darker area. Isolated amounts could exceed 12 inches. We definitely saw that this past weekend with the system across the northern plains where we were calling for 4 to 8 inches across parts of Minnesota. That system did overperform and bring 13 inches of snow to places in central Minnesota. So it's not out of the question with this particular model, and we'll bring you the latest information on our Facebook page if there are any changes to our forecast. Where this system stays all rain, we're going to see a lot of rain, especially from Texas to Louisiana. We could see isolated 2 to 3 inch amounts. Some areas could exceed 4 inches, but the main thing is a widespread swath in excess of 1 inch of rain, stretching from near Dallas through Little Rock up towards Memphis and across parts of southern Kentucky. Expand this up into the Ohio Valley. We even can see in parts of southeastern Kentucky, again, higher amounts exceeding those 2 inch rainfall amounts. Widespread 1 to 1.5 inches. So this is something that we're going to watch as the first wave of this system. Now, I did mention that the European model was a little bit more north and a little bit warmer with this system. So let's look at how that model plays out. So again, looking at that 540 line, it keeps it more up north into southern Indiana, and that 540 goes through more north-central Kentucky. And as a result, we see more rain across central Kentucky from places like Hopkinsville to Lexington over towards London, Kentucky for our Tuesday into our Wednesday. And even as we move into Virginia, we will see more rain. As a result, snowfall totals are a little bit less, but we do see a little bit higher amounts along the Ohio River. And we do see higher amounts through West Virginia and Virginia, but not those 8 to 12 inch amounts that we were seeing with the GFS model. So again, as a result of the Euro tracking just about 50 miles further north, it's allowing just slightly warmer air across parts of southern Kentucky into southern Virginia. That's going to take that snow from the GFS and it's going to make it more as rain in the European model. So we're going to watch to see which one of these systems does win out over the next 24 hours. This will be an evolving system, and temperatures are going to be a key ingredient. 1 degree can make a big difference in how much rain or how much snow that you see in your backyard. So as we wake up on our Wednesday morning, that system has made its way offshore. We see the next big system waiting in the wings across parts of Colorado to Kansas into northern Missouri. We are also seeing some precipitation out along the California coast. This isn't the big system that's going to impact California. That one will come later in the week, the one that we see here across the Central Plains. We're going to watch as it progresses east from Wednesday into our Thursday. And so we see that system gathering its strength. It's going to slowly move through Iowa into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. Now watch, we do see an area of mixed precipitation along the I-70 corridor. That low, however, is tracking a little bit along the Ohio River. And so places like northern Illinois, northern Indiana, you will likely stay all snow. But it's around the central Illinois, central Indiana, central Ohio, where we're going to see that mixed precipitation. Generally, where you see that track of these types of lows, we go about 150 miles to the northwest. That is where the heaviest snow tends to set up. And that's what we see. So this one going along the Ohio River is going to tend to throw the heavier snow across northern Indiana and north central Illinois. Now another model is the European model with this one. Again, like the Monday storm, it does go a little bit further north, but it is a deepening low. So it doesn't really get its act together until the low gets over central Indiana, and then it starts intensifying as it moves through Michigan and eventually into Ontario, going from 1,000 millibar low down to a 992 millibar low by the time we get to Thursday morning. And in terms of our snowfall amounts, this amount across Kentucky, that's the Monday storm on the GFS. So we look across Kansas and to Missouri, and that's where we see confidence in model run to model run of heavy snow. We also see heavy snow through central Illinois, north central Indiana, into Michigan. We have good confidence, just like the storm we had back in early January, that Kansas and Missouri will see heavy snow with this. But it's going to be, where does that heavy snow set up as it moves through the Ohio Valley, through Illinois and Indiana? And this is where we're looking at each model run. So on Saturday, the model really had the heavy snow much further to the northwest. On Sunday, the model started to trend the heavier snow amounts moving back down into central Illinois, central Indiana. But as we've waken up on our Monday, those are kind of lining up across north central and northern Illinois. This is the European model. It has the same thing. Heavy snow, Kansas to Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, all the way through Michigan. But it has a sharp cutoff. So even places like Lafayette, Indiana, half an inch of snow by the time Thursday morning, whereas the GFS would have had you in about a 6 to 8 inch snowfall range. So the track is going to be very important with this particular storm. And we've seen this in the model runs too, as we've seen the heavier snow make its way down toward Lafayette to Fort Wayne on our Sunday, but then it started to retreat back to the northwest, and those snow amounts are getting less and less with each model run. So the European is favoring a more northwesterly solution to this, The GFS is a little bit, maybe a county or two county roads further south and east with the track. This is something we're going to watch. We're still 48 hours from this particular storm. A lot can change, but this is what we look at this point, with not necessarily the snowfall amounts, but where is that path of heavy snow setting up? Where is that trend? Is the storm trending northwest? Is it trending southeast? Is it weakening overall? These are things we're going to monitor over the next 24 to 48 hours. I mentioned that associated with this system, as we see the snow across the Central Plains into the upper Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, we're going to have severe weather along the southern states and through the Dixie Alley. The Storm Prediction Center has already issued a marginal risk of severe weather for our Wednesday into Thursday morning for places like Louisiana, Mississippi, into far western Alabama. So we're going to be on the watch for rotating storms, severe weather, whether or not we have discrete supercells or we get some isolated spin-ups with tornadoes. A very active weather pattern for the south with this particular system. And not only is it going to bring the potential for severe weather, but we are going to now get a second round of heavy rain with this system. We're going to see an additional 2 to 3 inches from Louisiana through central Mississippi. Widespread 1 to 2 inches stretching over towards the Atlanta area. You'd be closing in on 2 additional inches of rain. Chattanooga, 1.5 inches. Into far western South Carolina, 1.5 inches of rain. Down along the coast, it's going to really be dependent upon if you get under the right thunderstorm, the amount of precipitation, but generally under 1/2 inch, except for those downpours and isolated thunderstorms where you'll see in excess of 1 inch of rain. So when we take the two systems together, we're going to see significant rainfall across the south this coming week. And by Thursday morning, as the GFS model shows, this low has moved into southern Ontario, bringing snow across that area into Quebec. It brings the warm air a little bit further north into central New York, so it's really only far northern New England where we would expect snowfall for our Thursday. Rain elsewhere along the mid-Atlantic, stretching back down through Georgia to Florida. So in terms of those snowfall amounts, as we look at the trend right now, we are, again, not focusing on the specific amounts, but what is the general trend? The general trend is going to tell us that the heaviest snowfall is going to fall over parts of Ontario into Quebec, where we could see isolated areas over 1 foot of snow. Now you get into far northern New York, we could see up to 8 inches of snow. Same thing as we make our way into northern Maine and the mountains of Vermont. So track, again, is going to be very important, whether the European solution wins out or the GFS. And as I mentioned, as that severe weather moves to the east throughout the south, as we get towards our Friday, we're going to continue to see that heavy rain that was in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia on our Thursday. We're going to see that move into the Carolinas, where we're going to see widespread 1-inch rain amounts across parts of South Carolina, up to 1 inch across parts of North Carolina. And I mentioned that we're going to have a drenching rain for California. We see that here, system that moves on shore on Thursday into our Friday. We're going to see copious amounts of rain and heavy mountain snowfall for California while that winter storm moves off to the east. And so when it's all said and done, by the time we wake up on Friday morning, most of central California is going to see in excess of 2 inches of rain. In those mountainous areas, it's going to be measured in feet of snow. As we make our way down towards Los Angeles in Southern California, this is an area I am concerned about. We could see widespread 1-inch rain amounts, which could cause mudslides in that part of the country. So we're going to watch this for flash flooding, mudslides, and heavy rain as we make our way Thursday into Friday. This is an area we will continue to bring you updates on. As we put everything together and we look at the totality of this week, we are going to see heavy amounts of rain across the southeast. Where we see those yellows, that's 4 to 6 inches of rain from Monday through Friday morning. Where we start to see those reds and yellows, that's getting to 2 to 4 inches of rain. So we see that widespread from southeastern Kentucky through central Tennessee into Alabama, Mississippi, back into Texas, as well as through central California out to the west. We see that heavier precipitation in the form of snow stretching from central Missouri through north central Illinois, northern Indiana into Michigan, and in Ontario and Quebec. And this pattern isn't going to stop with just these two storms. We are going to see, as we go into next weekend, another system make its way through the Ohio Valley for our Saturday, bringing heavy rain and severe weather potentially to the south. We're going to watch that system move out, and yet then we're going to have yet another system making its way through the Intermountain West by Tuesday of next week. Another snow system dives through the Ohio Valley by Wednesday of next week. And then we have another low digging out of Texas going across the south, which could skirt up the East Coast by the time we get to the 22nd of February. So a very active weather pattern across the United States over the next 2 weeks. Climate Prediction Center has already issued moderate risk for heavy snow across the mountain ranges of the West, as well as the Rockies, as we go through this coming weekend into early next week. And they've also highlighted the Northeast for a potential heavy snow event next weekend as we begin our President's Day weekend. So a lot to still iron out, a lot of details that are still in flux. But again, we will bring you the latest information. We thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this weather information very helpful. Leave comments down below. Let us know how we can help serve you better and help you make the better decisions for your day and your week. We hope to see you again real soon here at the Weather Farm.